The bank notification arrived at 10:14 a.m. It didn't come with a siren. Just a quiet line of text on my screen: transfer to Chloe M. $18,000. Status: completed. I stared at the numbers until they lost their meaning. I had already called my mother twice. The first time, her voice was tight, rehearsed. It's for her surgery. Insurance won't cover it in time. You know how it goes. The second time, I asked for the clinic name, the procedure, anything to ground myself in reality. Her tone shifted. Softened, then hardened. Do you really need itemized receipts from your own sister? This is family, not a business. I believed her. I always did. Belief was cheaper than doubt. Doubt required energy I had already spent. So I logged in. I typed the code. I hit confirm. I told myself it was an investment in peace. 2 hours later, my phone buzzed. Instagram. Chloe's story. No caption. Just a glass of pink cocktail catching the afternoon sun, a white linen tablecloth, and a location tag I recognized instantly. Maldives. Overhead shot of turquoise water. A pair of designer sandals on the sand. I didn't feel anger. Not at first. I felt a quiet, hollow recognition. The lie wasn't even well crafted. They didn't think I'd cross-reference dates. They assumed I would simply absorb the cost and keep moving. They called it an emergency. I was beginning to recognize it as extraction. I set the phone down. I watched the ceiling fan turn. And I realized something I had spent years avoiding. I wasn't funding a crisis. I was funding a pattern. One I no longer had to participate in. Before I tell you what I did next, tell me, have you ever been the family ATM? Drop a comment. I want to know I'm not alone. It didn't start with $18,000. It started with patterns. Over the years, Chloe's life became a series of manageable crises that always landed on my desk. A car that broke down before a weekend trip. A rent increase she couldn't absorb. An unexpected vet bill that somehow always required immediate cash. Each time, the script was identical. My mother would call with that familiar tremor. She's struggling. You're doing better. You understand how things work. Just this once. And I did. I believed stability was supposed to be shared, that family was supposed to absorb each other's weight. So I became the one who could spare it. The quiet constant in a house that measured love by liquidity. Affection became logistics. I was gently persuaded to join a shared family account for emergencies, though the only person depositing into it was me. My phone became a ledger. Venmo requests marked urgent in all caps. Voice notes that began with "I'm so sorry to ask" and ended with "You're the only one I can trust." I saved every message in a folder labeled family. Not out of sentiment, but out of necessity. I needed to remember what I was agreeing to before the guilt faded. I canceled my own vacation so I could cover Chloe's down payment. I paused my retirement savings to absorb her temporary gaps. I told myself it was investment. It was just inventory management. The unspoken rule was simple: my needs were flexible. Hers were urgent. At 24, I sat at my kitchen table, crying quietly over a student loan payment I couldn't make on time. My phone lit up. Chloe has a dental emergency. Can you transfer 800? I wiped my eyes. I sent it. 3 days later, I opened Instagram. Chloe was holding a new designer bag. Treat yourself. You deserve it. I didn't comment. I just closed the app. My parents praised her boldness. They praised my reliability. They never asked what reliability cost when it was never reciprocated. I wasn't a sister. I was a safety net with a pulse. And safety nets don't get to decide when they're full. I learned to treat my exhaustion like background noise. I logged every transfer. I balanced every ledger. I waited for the day the math would even out. It never did. Because erosion doesn't happen all at once. It happens in small, justified withdrawals. In quiet compromises that slowly erase the person making them. I thought I was building a foundation for my family. I was just laying the groundwork for my own disappearance. The call came on a Tuesday morning. I was standing in my kitchen, coffee cooling on the counter, when my mother's name lit up the screen. I put it on speaker. I had learned to listen with my whole body during these calls. Maya, she began, voice tight, rehearsed. Chloe needs surgery. It's $18,000. Insurance won't cover it in time. We need the transfer by Friday. I set my mug down. What kind of surgery? I asked. Can I see the bills? There was a pause. Then her tone shifted. Softened, then hardened. Do you really need itemized receipts from your own sister? This is family, not a business. I didn't argue. I never did. I logged into my banking app. I typed the confirmation code. I hit send. I felt the familiar knot tighten in my stomach. I told myself it was temporary. That she would recover. That they would eventually pay me back. That this was just how family worked. 2 days later, I opened Instagram. Chloe's story loaded instantly. No caption at first. Just sunlight catching the edge of a glass. Then the next slide. A white linen tablecloth. A pink cocktail. A location tag I recognized immediately. Maldives. The third post was a mirror selfie in a linen dress. The caption read, "Finally got that break I deserved." Hashtag self-care, hashtag you deserve it too. I stared at the screen. I didn't feel anger. I didn't feel the urge to call, to scream, to demand an explanation. I felt something quieter. Something colder. This wasn't about the money. It was about the insult. They didn't even think I'd cross-reference the dates. They assumed I would absorb the cost, swallow the lie, and keep moving. They treated my silence as permission. I closed the app. I walked to my desk. I opened my laptop. I didn't cry. I didn't draft a message I would regret. I created a new folder. Named it, Chloe_emergency_truth. I downloaded my bank statements. I highlighted the transfer. I took screenshots of the posts. I mapped the dates side by side. I wasn't building a case for court. I was building clarity for myself. For the first time in years, I stopped asking why I had stayed so long. I started asking what I would do when I finally didn't need to. The hurt had passed. The investigation had begun. And with it, the quiet architecture of my boundaries. I didn't react. I documented. I opened my phone and scrolled through the last 3 weeks of Chloe's stories. I saved every post. Every location tag. Every caption that mentioned recovery or rest. Then I opened my banking app. I downloaded the statements. I highlighted the $18,000 transfer in yellow. I created a folder on my desktop and named it, Chloe_emergency_fund_truth. I built a simple timeline. Date of request. Date of transfer. Date of the first beach photo. I didn't need lawyers to understand what was happening. I just needed to look at the math without the noise. I wasn't building a case for court. I was building clarity for myself. Clarity doesn't require shouting. It just requires proof. That evening, I called my therapist. I didn't lead with the numbers. I led with the truth I'd been avoiding. I need to say this out loud, I told her. My sister stole from me. And my parents helped her do it. She was quiet for a moment. Then she asked the question I'd been dreading. What are you going to do? I looked at the folder on my screen. Nothing, I said. Yet. It was the first time in years I let silence sit without rushing to fill it. I realized then that I had spent my whole life waiting for them to see me. To acknowledge the weight I carried. to validate the cost of my quiet compliance. But they weren't going to. And now I was seeing them. And what I saw was enough. I opened a new message to Chloe. I typed, "I saw the posts. I need the money back. Please transfer it by Friday." I deleted it. I typed another, "Family doesn't lie. Family doesn't drain each other. This ends now." I deleted that too. Words had never worked between us. They only gave them more room to deflect, to reframe, to turn my truth into my betrayal. So I closed the app. I locked my laptop. I went to my room and turned off the lights. I didn't send anything. I didn't demand an apology. I waited. I watched. I prepared. Because I finally understood something I had never allowed myself to believe. Silence isn't surrender. It's a boundary. And boundaries don't need an audience to hold. They just need you to stop negotiating with your own worth. 3 weeks later, the family group chat lit up. I was in the middle of a work call when my phone vibrated against the desk. Chloe's message came through clear and casual, "Hey everyone. Mom's birthday dinner is this Friday. Thinking $200 each to cover the venue and catering. Let me know if you're in." I read it twice. I didn't type a response. I didn't ask questions. I simply took a screenshot. Then I opened my desktop and clicked into the folder I had built in silence. Chloe_emergency_fund_truth. I pulled up the timeline. I arranged 3 images side by side. The bank transfer receipt. $18,000. Date stamped. Chloe's Maldives beach photo. Date stamped. Chloe's cocktail post with the caption, "Living my best life." I merged them into a single collage. No filters. No commentary. Just dates. Just numbers. Just truth. I uploaded it to the family chat. I added one line beneath it, "I'd love to contribute to Mom's dinner. Right after I get my $18,000 back from Chloe's surgery." Attached, the invoice I never received. I hit send. I set the phone down. I watched the screen. 1 minute. 10 minutes. 47 minutes of absolute silence. No typing bubbles. No defensive replies. Just the quiet weight of a lie finally laid bare. Then my phone rang. My mother's name. I let it go to voicemail. When she spoke, her voice was tight. Shaking, layered with panic and defensiveness. "How could you embarrass us like this? What is wrong with you?" I didn't call back. I opened my notes app. I recorded a voice memo for my own records. "I didn't embarrass anyone," I said, voice steady. "I just stopped pretending." I saved the file. I didn't send it. I didn't need to. The receipt was enough. The silence was enough. I finally understood what I had spent years avoiding. You called it family. I'm calling it what it was, theft with a guilt trip. The confrontation didn't come with shouting. It came with documentation. The truth doesn't need volume to be heard. It just needs a quiet person who finally decides to stop looking away. The fallout didn't come with screaming. It came with deflection. An hour after I posted the collage, my phone buzzed. A direct message from Chloe. "You're so dramatic." It was a loan. "I was going to pay you back." I didn't hesitate. I typed back, "When? Show me the date you plan to do that. Show me the message. Show me the proof." The typing bubble appeared for a moment. Then vanished. She blocked me. I didn't feel the sting of rejection. I felt the quiet click of a door closing. My parents launched their campaign by evening. Texts went out to the extended family. I knew because cousins I hadn't spoken to in years started sliding into my inbox. "Maya's gone greedy. She's holding money over Chloe's head. Family isn't supposed to be like this." I didn't defend myself. I didn't explain. I didn't join the war they'd already lost. Then, a private message arrived from Aunt Linda. My mother's sister. The one who always kept her head down and her opinions closer. I saw the chat. I'm sorry they did that to you. I've been there. I didn't cry. I just nodded at the screen. The pattern wasn't just Chloe's. It was generational. And for the first time, I recognized I wasn't the broken link. I was the one who finally stopped the cycle. I closed the joint family account the next morning. I removed Chloe from every payment app. I changed my passwords. I set up automatic weekly transfers to a new savings account. I named it Self-Care Fund. I didn't do it to punish them. I did it to protect myself. There's a difference. Punishment requires engagement. It requires you to stay in the ring. Protection requires distance. It requires you to step off the mat and lock the gate. 1 year later, I was making coffee when I scrolled past Chloe's latest post. Struggling with debt. Why is family so cruel? I didn't pause. I didn't screenshot. I didn't feel the familiar guilt tighten my chest. I just scrolled. Their chaos was no longer my emergency. Their collapse was no longer my crisis. I had spent years waiting for them to respect me. I finally realized respect doesn't come from waiting. It comes from withdrawing your presence when it's no longer honored. Peace isn't the absence of conflict. It's the presence of boundaries. And mine were finally holding. I used to think being the responsible one meant being the available one. I thought if I just held the line long enough, they would finally see me. Not as a utility. Not as a backup. But as a person. Now I know better. Responsibility without reciprocity is just exploitation with a nicer name. Family shouldn't be a subscription service you can't cancel. Love shouldn't come with an invoice you're too guilty to question. Your worth isn't measured by how much you can endure, how much you can give, or how quietly you can disappear so someone else can shine. I sat at my kitchen table last week. The house was quiet. Just the hum of the refrigerator and the soft glow of my laptop. A bank notification popped up on the screen. Self-Care Fund. Goal met. $5,000. I didn't spend it on anything flashy. I didn't book a trip to prove a point. I opened a travel site and reserved a solo weekend. No itinerary. No obligations. Just me. Not to punish anyone. Just to celebrate the woman who finally learned to fund her own peace. What's one emergency you've funded that wasn't really an emergency? Write it down. Then ask yourself, was it their crisis, or your boundary? Keep the answer close. The day I stopped being the family ATM was the day I finally started funding my own life. What's one boundary you're ready to fund today?